Hiya, I'm Jasper, and welcome to your video review for The Running Man. It's a movie starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. So, as always, I'm going to give you the good, the bad, and the furry. To start off with the furry, there isn't any. Moving on. So this movie was made in the, I think, 80s. It's set in 2017, so, yeah, swing and a miss there. But, this movie is objectively bad. It's an objectively bad movie. Let me give you some examples of why it's bad. And if you've seen it, I think you'll understand. So I'm going to say minor spoilers for this. But, for example, a girl is restrained in a chair. In what is, clearly she is, it's not even close to being tied on her wrist. There are these metal things that just go over. And there's, I could probably fit my paw through how much room she had for those wrist restraints that she was struggling in. You could have rejiggered the chair to tighten those up. And then also, you have the fact that so much of this movie is... So the thing about this movie is it's set where it's in the future and everybody's poor, and to keep the masses appeased, you have games where criminals try to survive, deadly games in order to win their freedom. Which we've seen before in other movies that are better, such as, Gamer, Hunger Games, Gladiator, Death Race. There's probably a bunch of others, but we've seen it more, we've seen it done better. Perhaps this was the first one, but I definitely have seen it done way better than this one. So, you have that. Then you have the fact that, again, this is supposed to be a game show where they're, seeing all this happenings, and there is so much of this that clearly takes place where the cameras can't see. And, what would the audience be doing? It's supposed to be live for a bunch of it, but what are they doing, and why are there not cameras absolutely everywhere in the play area? And that doesn't make any sense. And then there's also way too much focus on the audience and the prizes that are given out. They're like, oh, you get this in the at-home game, but it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't lead anywhere in the movie. It's just that's the shtick. That's it. Cool. And then the resistance is trying to take down the system, kind of like Hunger Games, but the resistance headquarters is literally in the 200 square block radius. It's literally their headquarters in there where there's all of this game show and setup being done. How does that make any sense that they are able to run this resistance from a place that has fuck tons of cameras, ideally? And then, one of the guys finds a code in order to access a satellite or whatever, and then he gets killed, but she saw the code, so, she never tells anybody the code. In this deadly game where she could get killed at any moment, she's like, no, I'll wait till the game's over to, tell you the thing that can solve everybody's problem, just in case I die and you don't. Nope, not gonna tell you, what the fuck? And nobody says anything about it. And, what is the draw if the first, Deathstalker guy takes everybody out? All right, folks, now we get commercials for another 2 hours. That doesn't make any sense. And, why does the asshole guy that's running all this, why does he only have one bodyguard? He is an asshole, and he, runs this multi-billion-dollar corporation that is the number one viewed show on Earth, and he only has one bodyguard? Are you fucking kidding me? Come on now. And when they're getting launched into the game area, they go through this tunnel. And this tunnel sequence, I swear it lasts for 5 minutes. It's like if you watched GoldenEye, I think it was GoldenEye, or Tomorrow Never Dies. Whatever one. The Pierce Brosnan one where they're in the oil tunnel, but that entire sequence, it felt like they just had, but they're just going through the tunnel. They're just... And, sure, they do a whole bunch of cuts to it, but it's still, we get it. You're in the tunnel. Move on. And then, why would anybody believe anything that happened at the end of this movie that happened as having actually happened? Because earlier in the film, they, do a live-action replacement of, face swapping that they can do in movies when there's, a body double and they put the face on, whatever, that takes massive amounts of After Effects in order to do. They're able to do it real time in this world, and they show, our hero getting killed, even though he doesn't get killed. And then he comes back later, and he's like, they look at all these bad guys doing bad things. Why would anybody believe that? Because they just saw him getting killed live, at that exact time, and yet now we're supposed to believe that, oh yeah, no, they believe that he is still there. And, how is this a worldwide thing? This seems very much that it would just be, restricted to the Americas. How would this be something that the entire world gets in on? It just, And then why is it that the old people are all the super duper bloodthirsty ones? Like, they grew up in a time period where people were actually fucking nice to each other sometimes. Like, why would this audience be filled with the old people when it'd be like, yeah, get them, kill them? Like, no, I would believe it more if it was a younger crowd doing this, but the older crowd, and yeah, that just doesn't make any sense. And like, what would they have done right in the beginning with the first Deathstalker if they, like, how did they corral them to go into the ice skating room? And what, you just have this ice skating room constantly going? Like, what if they hadn't decided to go in the ice skating room? The ice stalker guy would have been like, I'm awaiting. I'm awaiting. And I would totally believe that they would go around because there's so many areas that don't have cameras in this. And why was Arnold quipping? He is supposed to be a guy that has, like, a relatively normal guy. Like, yeah, he's a law enforcement, but, like, he is quipping all over the place after everybody dies. And it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So there's a whole lot of problems with this movie. That being said, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. This movie was a great fun time. It is a product of its time period, and sure, 2017 doesn't look a whole lot like that, but it is a fun time. I loved Arnold's quipping. Does it make sense for his character? Not really, given his background, but it's fun. He quips throughout, and so it works. The Deathstalkers that they fight are ridiculous, both in just their general personalities and their, like, glaring weaknesses, and how this whole thing is run is just pushed to the extreme. And, like, why would they even throw that lady in jail? Like, why would you even believe them? And, like, how is that your first clue? So there's just so much that shouldn't work for this movie, and it technically doesn't, but all together, it being an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, quipping, action, taking dudes out, firearms, explosions, fighting the good fight, all that together makes for a really fun movie. Now, if you can't stand 80s action movies, if you didn't like any of the, I don't know, Road Warrior, Commando, True Lies, any, Predator, any of the Arnold Schwarzenegger, if you didn't like that, you're definitely not going to like this one, because this is by far not his best movie. But it's still fun, and I enjoyed it. And I think that a lot of people enjoyed it more than they think. And I think that you, if you like Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, and you haven't seen this one, you should, because I think you will enjoy it. I had a good time. 2 thumbs up. So that's all I have for this one. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you at the next one. Bye.